So people need to self-isolate for 14 days, yeah, if they think they've got it and go through the process. Do they get paid?
In terms of that, I mean, obviously it will depend upon their job. Obviously,
is the government going to pay?
There's actually sick pay. There is in statutory provision sick pay available, so there is statutory sick pay.
And what about people who are just on 0-hour contracts? Is there going to be any money thrown at it?
People on 0 hours contracts are also allowed statutory sick pay.
Yeah.
So there is that provision, and again, we're mirroring exactly what's been said in the UK.
How worried are you?
At the moment, I am not deeply concerned because it is still a low to moderate risk. Obviously, I'm getting daily updates as well about the situation, but it is essential that we take precautionary measures, and that's what the order that will be laid before Tynwald is doing. So we've got those measures in place should we require them.
And those measures,
at the moment, we don't see any reason for those measures to need to be used.
If those measures come in and we mirror the UK, I mean, potentially you could have anywhere with a large amount of people. So you could have cinemas, theatres, football matches or whatever else, things at the Villa Marina or anything like that. Would you have the powers to stop people gathering? Or would it be just up to individual companies, societies to decide what they're going to do?
In the event of a serious public health issue, the department would have the powers to be able to suspend individual gatherings of people. But again, that's pure speculation at this stage, and I emphasise again that the order that has come in is purely precautionary at this stage.
You said last time people shouldn't bother with the masks. They're selling out, no doubt, like everything else is.
Yeah, the public health advice, not just here but worldwide as well with the World Health Organisation, is that masks have no discernible impact on the spread of infection or in preventing people becoming infected. But obviously, you know, again, that's a piece of advice that has been out there for a long time. I know in some cultures it's very widespread for the masks to be worn, but again, as with other cases such as when we had the Ebola scare and when we had SARS, there is no discernible health evidence to show that masks have any impact whatsoever.
Could there be the potential that we would have no boat sailings, no flights, I mean, that sort of thing? Is that, and then therefore people start panicking about food and all that sort of thing? Or?
Well, I'm not trying to get anyone to start looting Tesco's, Paul, at this stage. I think that is exceptionally extreme.
And I wouldn't say it unless I now think myself. I've even ordered a thing because of my job, just to order a sort of a mask, which I never thought I'd do, and that's why I'm back talking to you now.
Well, you've just wasted your money because I've just explained. There's no discernible.
No, this is a full-on thing.
I was going to say our next interview is going to be in full protective outfit.
I just think, by having you here, and we want you more often, I think, to reassure people. Would that be the right thing to say?
It is, and that's what I've been trying to do over my interviews over the last few days with all of the media outlets on the island. That in all seriousness, it is a very serious outbreak around the world. But what is important is that not that we don't underreact, so that we have the appropriate powers in place should we require them. But it's also equally important that people don't overreact. At the moment, the number of cases in the UK is hitting the 40 mark, which is still relatively low in terms of numbers. And one of the things that also needs to be stressed is the vast majority of those cases in the UK are people who have travelled from abroad back into the UK. There is very, very few cases of person-to-person transmission that has occurred within the UK. And
what about schools? If a child's got the sniffles or whatever, is that something just to keep something off, or is that mass panic at that moment?
If they have not got the appropriate travel history, then there is no need for people to be panicking in that regard.
You're not going to shut schools down?
As I say, even within the UK, the evidence of human-to-human transmission is very, very low. The vast majority, overwhelming majority in fact, about 95% of the cases in the UK have been people who have actually travelled in from an infected country with themselves infected.
And with our barrier, is it not worth thinking about having one of those detectors at the airport, the heat and thing and that sort of...
Well, as I just explained at the start of the interview, they are not effective. Okay. They are basically a temperature check. People who are in the incubation period, which generally people think can be between 10 and 14 days, will not actually display potentially a temperature, so won't be detected by it. Even people who actually have the virus, there's quite a few cases where people don't display a temperature as one of the symptoms. So when people keep calling for port checks, what they're basically calling for is a temperature check, which has been shown worldwide to be completely inefficient in detecting people.
TT?
Yes. Obviously, at the moment, the public health advice is that there is no need to start cancelling major events, and that is the advice being followed. The Department for Enterprise is very much in contact with Public Health and the Department of Health on that. At the moment, there is no reason at the moment to cancel TT.
Who calls it if it does? Is that again a mirror from the UK, or would you?
It would be the Department for Enterprise following the advice of Public Health.
People watching this who've got their tickets booked, should they be worried then anyway at this minute?
No. At the moment, the event is going ahead. Like I say, it is a fluid situation. If that changes, people will be advised. But at the moment, there is no risk to TT. And again, I need to emphasise that any case that did occur over here is just as likely to occur from someone local coming back into the island with a travel history as it is for anyone travelling in. In fact, if you look at the vast majority of the regions around the world, I think it's 57 now that have reported coronavirus cases. In almost all cases, the seed patient, as you might call it, the initial patients bringing the virus into the country have actually been local people returning home, not visitors.
Okay, well, because on the visitors side, we had the first selling coming in yesterday, one of the cruise liners. Any more precautions there, for instance? I mean, you see people doing anything when they arrive on the island?
Again, with cruise liners, for instance, there was the Norway cruise liner that came in with the Norwegians on board. Norway is a very low-risk country. They've had 25 cases to date. So, no, there is no precautions needing to be taken. Again, the only precaution that could be taken is to do a temperature check. Again, I come back to this overreaction thing. While it's important we have appropriate powers in place, if something should happen, it is important that we don't go too far in overreacting.
But these sanitisers, stories out there now that all the prices jumped, mask prices have jumped.
There's always people willing to make money, unfortunately.
Do we have a stock of them? Do you have a big pile somewhere?
In relation, like I say, the important thing is people wash their hands, and by the way, that can be soap and water. That can I do actually have bottles of sanitizer in my house. I always have had.
I've got one in my pocket.
But just as effective is good old-fashioned soap and water. So if people actually can't get hold of hand sanitizer or don't wish to use hand sanitizer, then perhaps the good old-fashioned route is just as good.
Okay. Well, I'll shake your hand at the end and I'll sanitise. Thank you very much, Minister.